My name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. I have been solving GMAT data sufficiency problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 12th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You should be able to find it at mba.com. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 275, data sufficiency problems. Data sufficiency problem number 32, I believe. I should have a system where I follow the same system all the time, because sometimes I write down the problem number that I'm about to solve on the blackboard before I start taping, and sometimes I don't. So I had to look whether it was the next problem that I was doing or the problem number that I see on the blackboard is what I was about to do. It's 32, because I remember having done 31. Oh jeez. All right, 32. It's important that you have the book in front of you. Open the book, turn to page number 275 and read the problem with me. Of course, it's always a good idea to try to do this problem on your own before watching the clip. And then you compare my work versus your work, because sometimes you may have done it right, but maybe you did it in a different way. So it's always a good idea to listen to other person's opinion. You do not have to agree with the other person, but it does not hurt to listen to the other person. Perhaps they did it in a different way. Jerry bought 7 clothing items, including a coat. All right. And the sum of the prices of these 7 items is 365. The sum of the prices of these items was 365. All right. 7 items cost $365, and they tell us that we have 6 items plus a coat. That's what we have so far. If there was no sales tax on any clothing item with a price of less than $100 and a 7% sales tax on all other clothing items, the question simply is, what was the total sales tax? Okay, so what was the total sales tax is the question here, keeping in mind that in this state, in this jurisdiction, there is no sales tax on the clothing item if it costs less than 100. If it costs more than 100, then they charge you 7% sales tax on an item costing more than 100. Now what does it say? Does the sales tax apply only on the portion that is over 100, or does it apply on the whole item? Let's read again. If there was no sales tax on any clothing item with a price of less than 100 and a 7% sales tax on all other clothing items, so it does not say that the 7% sales tax applies only on the portion that is above $100. It applies on the whole thing. Here's a question. I'm going to digress for a second. So, can you tell me, if you were to buy something for $100 as opposed to buying something for $100.01, what is the marginal cost of that 1 extra cent of price? If that were the case, here, I didn't mean to say $101, I meant to say $100. Here, the tax would be 7%. You will end up paying $7. Here, the tax would be 0. So had that been the case, then your marginal cost, if you want to put it that way. It's a strange concept in this case because that is a cost also. The marginal cost in terms of tax is $7 on that extra freaking penny. Oh, I didn't say I didn't say that word, okay? The extra penny is what I meant to say. Anyway. Ignore that part. Let's see. So we need to figure out, in order to answer this question, first of all, understand what it is that we need to know before actually analyzing the statement. We need to know, first of all, there are 7 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we know that they cost $365. Not only we need to know how many items are over $100, but that would not be enough to answer what the sales tax was, because sales tax is not, had they told us that the sales tax is $5 per item, anything costing more than $100, regardless of the price of the item, then all we need to know, in that case, all we would have needed to know, it's a hypothetical statement, is how many items are over $100. But that is not the case here. Here, not only we would not know how many items are over $100, but we would need to know their individual prices, or at least the sum total of those items that are costing over $100, because we need to figure out 7% of that. Because that's what the question is. What is the total sales tax? So let's see if they give us all of that information. I doubt it very much. Statement 1 says, let's do our thing here. AAD, BCE. AAD, BCE. The first statement tells me that the price of the code was $125. Does that help us in figuring out what the total sales tax was? No, of course not. We can figure out what the sales tax on this code would be, but of the remaining amount from 365 after we subtract 125, we do not know how the remaining amount is split among the 6 items, and we do not know how many of them are costing over $100, and we do not know what the breakdown is precisely. Maybe the remaining amount, 125, the remaining 240, perhaps is split evenly among the 6 items, in which case each one of them is exactly $40, in which case the sales tax will be just 7% of this. Or maybe the remaining 6 items that are there, we have $240 remaining, maybe one of them costs $230, and then the remaining $10 goes here. We do not know what the breakup is. We do not know how many of the items are costing over $100, and we don't know what exactly the prices of those items are. So we cannot figure out the sales tax. Impossible. Impossible. Simply telling me that the code cost $125 is not enough to answer the question, what is the total sales tax on all the items that were bought? Since statement 1 by itself is not enough, answer cannot be A, nor can it be D. Let's look at the second statement. It says the average price of the 6 items, we just figured that out. That's not telling us anything. Oh, never mind actually. We figured it out because we knew the price of the code, but for a second I forgot. When we are looking at the second statement, we have to pretend that we did not read this thing. We have to erase our memory. So now they're telling us that the average of the other 6 items is $40. Well, if the average of the other 6 items is 40, those items, the other 6 items must have cost 40 times 6, which is 240, and therefore, and for those of you who do not know, this means therefore. And therefore, the code must have cost 365 minus 240, $125. In other words, the second statement is telling us nothing different than what was told in the first statement. The second statement is a restatement of the first statement, it is, second statement is the first statement incognito, but they're not telling us anything new. Therefore, the second statement by itself is also not enough. The answer in this case is, I was about to say answer in this case is unfortunately E, but then I stopped myself because we don't care if it's an E or what letter. Why should I use the word? Why should I use the unfortunately? The word unfortunately, we don't give an F, whether it's E or C or B. Answer is E. I don't care what letter it is. In this case, it's E. Because it is impossible to figure out the amount of cell stacks. That's all. Based on what they tell you. I hope this was helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, face-to-face tutoring, tutoring over the internet via Skype or over the telephone, if you need some consultation, go to my website at www.prep.gmat.com and send me an email. All right? Or you can go to www.keshwaniprep.com and send me an email. Okay?